Hello, my name is Anthony's Republic, and this tutorial will be talking about how to apply a shader and some of the basics of a UV map. One of the first things you do when you purchase your kits is you want to go to Open, wait for it to load, good old slow SL, and then copy to inventory. It'll create a folder in your inventory. And what you want to do is you want to locate all your UV maps and your occlusion shaders. Basically, most full-form creators offer shaders, and you could find them labeled here. You don't want to save the actual big texture, which is this texture here. It'll say texture, wood texture. This is the actual texture of the finished product. Your occlusion shader looks like this. It's usually white and black. And then your UV map. In this case, we like to label our UV maps to make it a little bit easier. So go ahead and save all your UV maps and your occlusion shaders to your hard drive by opening it. Click Save As. I've already created a folder and saved all the materials. Save it all to a folder in your hard drive. And then what we want to do is we like to apply the UV maps to the model and world. This way you get a better reference of where you are on the model when it comes to texturing. In this case, we're just going to be working on the back slats here. Okay. This model has 6 faces that can be textured, and they're represented here by the colors. When you click on it, go to Select Texture, and it's just like selecting a side of a cube, and you could texture the 6 different parts here. Okay. So in this case, we're going to work on the back slats. We have our UV map on there, and you can see the words. It says top slat faces, middle slat faces, bottom slat faces. Okay. What you want to do is you open up all your shaders and UV maps, and I like to group them so it makes it easier to do the textures and work on them. In this case, we have 6 UV maps. We have the seat base, the seat, the front legs, the crossbars, the backrest, and the back legs. We're just going to focus on the backrest just to show you an example of how to use this. And here we have our UV map, and we can see the words top slat faces, middle slat faces, and bottom slat faces. If we go back to our model in SL, we can see that the bottom of the words are the front part of the chair, and the top part of the words are the back part of the chair. Okay. First, we're going to start off. We're just going to use a basic wood texture. We want to make sure our grains are running horizontal, since the slats here are running horizontal. You don't need to cut the texture perfectly for each piece if you're going to just use like a wood texture or cement or just something that's going to be general. You could just lay it over the entire area. You want to make sure that you cover the shells. The shells are depicted here in the black, and all this light blue section is basically just wasted space. There's no whatever you do in that space will not show up on your texture. So basically you just want to concentrate on this area, and you want to always make sure that you at least overlap your texture over the shell so you don't get any bleed through. So in this case, we're just going to use the wood texture, have our grain running horizontal. And for this back bar here, since it's running vertical, we want to make sure our grain is also running vertical. So basically all I did was turn my wood grain 90 degrees, so it's running in a vertical position. What we could do then is we could shut off this layer, and say you want to add some text in there, and say you just want to put your name on the chair. We could say Tony here. We know that the bottom of the words is the front part, so we know this is the front slat of the top. Okay. Now, if you wanted to do something on the back, if we left it as this way, it would actually be upside down. So what you would have to do is go to Transform, and you want to rotate it, or you can flip it vertically. Okay. Then you'd have to come back here and flip it horizontally so it reads that way. Tone. Okay. So we'll go back and put our layers, texture layers back on. We can see the words Tony over our texture. Once we're satisfied with the texture that we made, we want to make sure that our shader is on our top layer here. Okay, so we're going to turn on our shader. You notice that the shader is solid and it pretty much covers your texture. At this point, you have a few choices on how you can set this. I like to set it to multiply, which gives it just a basic PNG, brings it back to the normal state of PNG, and you can see our shade has been overlaid over the texture. You have other options here. You could use color blur, color burn, which adds a little bit more detail to your texture, gives it a little more older look to it. You could do linear burn. Sometimes I enjoy using the color burn here, so we'll just go with this. And you can see how if you turn on your layer on and off, you can see how the shader makes a difference in the texture. So once you're satisfied with your texture and your shader is set, go ahead and save this out. I like to save it out as Targa. We'll just call this back rest texture. Since I've already done this a few times, we'll just overwrite that file. It's going to ask you what bit you want to set it to. You want to set it to 24 bits. This is for solid surfaces. If you wish to do alpha, then you would set it to 32 bits. So in this case, we're going to keep it at 24. Save it. We'll come in world. We'll upload our texture. Backrests. Make sure that use lossless compression is always checked. This is for sculpt maps and textures, both. Wait for it to upload here. We'll select our model and click select face. You want to click on the green face. You can see how the green face is highlighted. Let's switch that back over to white so we know we have the proper face. You can see the crossbar here with 3 slats. We'll apply our texture. Give it a second to res. And you will notice that we now have text on both sides on the top slat as we have made it. Notice how, since this is the back slat, it had to be reversed so it stays on the proper plane there. And you can see our shadows in the corners here, in the wood texture. You can see our bottom slat where the shadow is. And this is what you would do for each piece. You would go back, you would take this group, you would turn it off, go to your next group, work on the back legs, and then start texturing and repeat the process. I hope this helps you in creating better products and using shaders that are provided with kits. This way it really brings out the geometry on your model. And hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks.